But there's also the thing that the two things that improved about human the most are flying machine and orb of fire. And both of those are a counter to air. So they are situational.
Yes.
And because they are counters and not like premeditated tactics, it doesn't give a lot of fun appeal to try out human now.
Be ready to work.
Going for orb of fire or flying machines is not a premeditated tactic. So on that part I'm thinking maybe they should have done a little bit more for human, even as they take away, to also giveth.
I can do that.
It's just that most things human had were already very strong. Because human was the best race. But when you take away things that are frustrating to play against, like Ivory Tower, Siege Engine, maybe some units needed to get some love too. For example, I think if Rifleman got 10 life more, no one would have complained. And it would probably compensate for... Because the way I see it, human needs more one base potential versus human, human, undead, and elf. They can already one base with human, but they can't one base very well against undead and elf. So whatever is part of that needs to be buffed. For example, paladin, rifleman, priest, and knights.
Yes. Something need doing?
That is my opinion on human. For orc, undead, and elf, a lot changed, buff and nerf, and it is both interesting as well as very exciting to try out the changes Russ there, because you start to think again, okay, how can I play now? What's wrong with knights? No, nothing, but like I said, human cannot one base versus elf and undead. So there's nothing wrong with them, but if you nerf something else, and one basing was already not possible against undead and elf, then certainly they must get something back, and I don't think they got enough back.
We need more lumber. My life.
The risk with talking about racial identity is that racial identity is shaped by the meta, not only their design. So anytime you're afraid to make design changes because of racial identity, you get with things like Broodlord, Swarmhost, Infestor, because it's swarmy. And that ruined SC2. So let's not do that in Warcraft 3. But the racial identity for human is to make 2 bases and 30 towers in each base, and then make only units that can attack buildings, steam tanks, and 3 masonry, and just have a level 2 hero but just kill them with... That's the racial identity, it really fits human. No, I think we should be careful of making such sweeping generalizations about what is their identity. If knights and rifles are better, then you can actually play one base tactics maybe. That's a good thing. For orc, Rust there, if you're still there, you start to burn and I'm dead. Okay, for orc you start to theorize, like, okay, can I make headhunter tactics, shaman tactics, torrent tactics? There's a lot to experiment with. Can't talk and play at the same time. Yeah, well, my blade would have lived if I wasn't talking, or I had that 2 agility that I lost in this patch. Lol. Doesn't matter. Yeah, headhunters, torrents, lots of things to play around with. And then for undead, they can try out necromancers. They can try out necromancers and cannibalize, which is actually quite significant. Sounds boring maybe, but cannibalize and necro could, you know, at least you can try out an experiment, right? Whether or not it ends up working. And I think it just might. And then for elf, hippogriff, mountain giant. Hippogriff rider, mountain giant. What else? I feel like this got bugged again. Oh yeah, huntresses and archers. That's 4 buffed units. So a lot to try out again.
Huh? I am yours. What do you want? Oh. I am yours. Excellent choice. Are you hero and obey?
And then
Excellent choice.
yeah, so that's everyone can make such changes.
Something you're doing?
But human doesn't really have a lot to play around with, and I think,
Are you hero and obey?
and this is just a theory, hypothesis,
Yes.
if human got what they deserved,
Master? I am yours.
and I'm just saying if, let's just assume that for the moment,
You want?
then
Work.
still they didn't really get to play around with a lot of fun new stuff, and that's demoralizing. Huh? It's a little demoralizing.
Yes, Lord.
Yeah, I'm getting some sound bugs, like some sound cutoffs.
Oh,
Torrent Totem tier 2, yes, but not torrents, just walkers.
I am yours.
It's all in the patch notes, guys.
What task is there? I am yours. Ice. What task is there? I am yours. Build more world. Yes. Oh. Excellent complete. Research complete. What? Yes, Lord. Are you hero and obey? Oh. Could you ask of me?
Fortified Bros finished,
Hey. I stand.
but he was late. Don't think that that's the correct timing,
I am
okay?
yours.
He's super late.
What task is there?
It's so funny, you can go torrents and torrent, walker, and lodge
Excellent choice.
at this tier.
Hey. What task is there?
When you tab out or sometimes don't look at your base,
Yes.
certain fortified buildings look non-fortified, but that's a visual bug and it is fortified, see?
I am yours. Dream. Yes, Lord.
It's just a bug visually.
Yes,
That's a bit weird, but I'm used to it.
I am yours. Something
It's not supposed, like, I feel like in the old patch that never happened. Oops. That never happened, but I feel like now it's happening more. Before I thought it was only if you tab, and now apparently even if you don't tab.
Yes, Lord. What task is there? What trouble? Yes, Lord. What task is there? I am yours.
Why is the building being available sooner significant if you can't actually build the torrents? Well, think of it like this. If you upgrade your tier 3 at the same time as building a totem, you start production upon completion of tier 3.
Task is there.
Otherwise, you still need to then make the totem.
I am yours. What you want me to do? Trouble. Oh.
And then finally start torrents.
Yes, Lord. We're under attack. I am yours. Oh. I answer.
Makes sense, PGB? PJB?
What task is there?
This looks so weird. This is like Reign of Chaos.
I am
Only being able to make those.
I answer. Yes, Lord. Yes. I am yours. I answer. Oh. Excellent choice. Hey. I answer the call. What task is there? Yes, Lord. I dreamed of this. Research complete. Earth and fire. Heed my word. What task is there? For my ancestors.
I have no idea where he is or why he isn't messing with me,
Yes, Lord.
but I like it.
I am yours. Oh. Hasten my train. I am one. What task is there? You want me to go?
Come on, stop this roar.
Yes, Lord.
Stop! He casts so many value spells.
Earth and fire. Can't my call. Yes. Yes, Lord. I dream that I stand.
Ooh,
What task is there? I am yours. What task is there? I stand. Yes, it is. Surround. Yes, Lord. Where you want me go? We need more lumber. We need more lumber. What do you want? I am yours. What troubles you?
why do you think they're putting effort into Warcraft 3 lately? From a bigger picture perspective, do you think something is in the work? Question mark. I don't know. I don't know if any other game company would have done this, to be honest.
I am yours.
I just... I feel lucky that it's happening, and I don't necessarily know why. I think it fits their, let's say, perspective of things. Blizzard rarely ever throws away games. It's like a pride thing, maybe? Where it's like, let me get some bloodlust. Oh, I don't even have, oh my god, I don't, oh come on, I don't even have, yeah, anyway, they rarely ever throw games away, and they just want to make sure where it's like, okay, this game is presently playable. Oh my god, he still went talents. Good luck against fortified defenses. I love the army I have against that. Pocket factory heavy armor. Yeah, no eating shield. It's gonna be hard.
Right away. I dream just for suit. What you want me to do? Yes, Lord. What trouble? I am yours. Understood. I answer. I am yours. I answer directly. Yes, Lord.
Oh, that one dies a lot easier, the factory.
Yes, Lord. I am yours. Right. What task is there? Yes, Lord. Why? Absolute choice. I am yours. What task is there? For the Lord. You want me to do that? I'm standing. I am one. Yes, Lord. What task is there? Yes! Take my blade! I answer directly. Right. How can I help? Understood. Directly. Oh, right away. I am yours. What task is there? Excellent choice. What you ask of me? Something you're doing? I am yours. Yes, Lord. I am yours. We need more number. What do you want? Oh, just for some. I hear and obey. I answer the call. Where you want me go? I am yours. Command. Who you want me? Ready to work. Yes, Lord. You ask of me, Spirit. How can I help? Where you want me to? Yes, Lord. Oh. Can I help you? Command. Yes. Now, yes, where you want me go? Fine. None. How can I help? Not enough mana. Oh, yes, Lord. Yes. What are you? For the whore. Yes, Lord. How can I help? I am yours. I am yes, Lord. Stand and deliver. Oh.
Do I mess someone up?
I am yours. Yes. What task is there? Yes. I am yours. Work complete. Wait. Ah, yes, Lord Chief. Something. We're under attack. What task is there? Yes, Lord. I stand ready. What task is there? Earth guide me. Research complete. Oh. Yes. Taste of my blade. Excellent choice. You ask. I am yours. Yes. I you hear and obey. Man. What task is there? Yes, Lord. Yes. You ask of me. For my ancestors. Yes, I am yours. Chief. Are you hear and obey? Man. Yes, Lord. Yes. I am yours. Correct. Oh. I stand. Yes, Lord Chief. I am yours. Correct. Yes, Lord Chief. Oh, right away. For my ancestors. How can I help? It is yes. What you want me to do? Who you want? Yes, Lord Chief. Go. Yes. That's what you want me to go. Oh. I am yours. What you ask me help? I am yours.
He's like, why didn't I just put everything in the air? It's like eureka moment for him. Guess Spirit Link is pretty good at a communal healing fountain. Guess Orc is still good at fountain. He had a nice start though. But I got Bloodlust. Maybe some Fairy Dragons next time? But I have Headhunters. I'm sold on Shamans. Night Elf through. He had a really big advantage, but he decided to fight into Fountain. That was fun fight though. Yeah, Shaman damage with Bloodlust. Not bad.